record.
All right. Well, good morning, everybody. Debbie's calling herself EXP Generals. That's awesome. All right. So let me see. We have some great people on the call today, and I'm super excited. So if you would take yourself off mute and tell me how many of you were here to listen to Beth and Cheryl last time, the TikTok superstars. Beth is showing up today as a guest because her husband, Paul Sessum, is the guest speaker today. Now, I don't typically do guest speakers based on family relations, but when you have friends who are, both of them are so freaking amazing and in completely kind of different genres, it's just so much fun. And they, after this call, are going to drive up to visit. So I can't wait to see them. Beth, you look spectacular this morning, by the way. You're on mute. Yeah. All right. So I don't want to delay because I really want to hear a lot from Paul. So let me tell you a little bit about Paul, and I'll let Paul tell you a little bit about himself also, because he has some great stories. Paul has been my friend, as I said in the email, for about 14 years. And him and Beth, his wife, have contributed so tremendously to the growth and development of me and my wife and where we are in life. And we became very close friends a long time ago because they sat in one of my classes. And at the end of that class, I made a speech where I pretty much cried through the whole speech, all 10, 12 minutes of it. And Paul and Beth kept saying, there's no crying in real estate. Anyway, it was a momentous time in Sherman Oaks, California in October of 2009. I remember it like it was just the other day. So, but Paul has a very colored and colorful past from the film industry into real estate, and the son of a pastor. So I'm going to let him tell a little bit about his story. But the reason he's on today, he is literally one of the top coaches in the United States on teams and structure and organization and operational excellence. He oversees tons of other coaches, and he is at the very top of his coaching career with Workman Success Systems, the company I also coach for and that Selena coaches for. So without further ado, my buddy, Paul Sessum. Paul, you can kind of have the floor, but really, today begins the last 1/3 of the year, and nobody knows better than you the crap that we go through in our heads that keeps us from ending the year with the power that we're capable of doing. So love to hear some of what's going on for you in your coaching and how we can learn from what you're experiencing.
Well, good morning, Rick, and thank you for having me here. And that is, when we talk about friends and mentors and leaders, you have been, total inspiration. That one day in that business planning clinic in Sherman Oaks, California, changed my life forever. And it was 3 letters, PSI. And so when I took that on, Beth and I learned from you, and then later on we came back again, and in our relationship with you, it came back up again. And we said, let's go do this. And we jumped into that course together, and it really impacted and changed our lives for the better forever. And there's no looking back. Once you know, right? And so you're unable to unknow. And we're going to talk about today a lot about once you know, you know. So yes, I grew up a poor child in Mississippi is a little bit of the story. And I am married today to this amazing TikTok star, Beth Bowles, and you guys have already met her. And she is the bright light in our household. And so it is never dull or boring around here. There's continued growth. And my wife is a leader of that. She is an actor, singer, dancer. She's reinvented herself and her careers over and over and over. And you guys got a sense of that the other day. And I too have followed that path where I've been in many different professions, live arts and the film arts, and uh, real estate sales, real estate leadership, real estate coaching, and I continue to evolve. And I look at what can I do in my life and my process to be more better and different. And and that's where I think we should all be. That's where I'm hoping we are all today. It's how we can be more better and different. So Rick brought up today we want to talk about where you are. And he brought up that there's 100, to be real, 122 days left in this calendar year. Now, that's just a number and it's a date and it's a measurement. We certainly want to know what that is because each of us have set out to accomplish something this year, intentionally or unintentionally. If we didn't set a goal, that was an intentional process. If we set a goal, that was an intentional process. So our
Wait,
outcome is what.
wait. I think you need to say that first sentence a little louder. If you did not set a goal, that in itself is an intentional process. Could you just elaborate a little bit on that? Because people think, oh, I was busy. And no, you made a choice not to set a goal. Could you elaborate on that, Paul?
Yes, if we're avoiding the processes and the direction in our lives that is a path to help us get to where we want to go, if we're choosing not to set a plan on that, that's an intentional process of saying, I really don't want to go there. It's a total avoidance of what you're able to create in your life. You tapped into Portland Warren a couple of weeks ago, and talk about somebody who has a foundational process and skills to help work with mindset and create things in your life. Go back and listen to those calls if you've missed them, because that's another powerful speaker and leader that Rick brought to you that is worth spending time around. I've studied with Portland, and he's amazing. But if we're not intentional in the processes and steps that we're taking, and if we're not setting goals for ourselves, they don't have to be massive, any kind of goal, then we're avoiding the greatness of ourselves. We're avoiding the possibilities of ourselves. And you have to ask yourself, why? Why am I not laying something out in front of me? It's a very intentional process to avoid not setting goals, as intentional as it is to set goals. Would you guys kind of buy into that thought in that process? Right. So where are you? When we talked about PSI a minute ago, the leader of that organization, Tom Willite, who's no longer on this earth, passed away some time ago, crashed his plane on his ranch up in Northern California, is that he has a saying that stuck with me ever since I've taken that course. And it's sort of a neutral thing. It irritated me in the beginning. Results, often harsh, always fair. So where are you today in the results of what you are creating in your business? We have 122 days, 17 weeks left of this year to say, where am I today in my business? What is the result of what I've created so far? And how did I get here? We want to look at the process of, I set out to do something or not. I set out to do something or not. This is where I am today. Are you where you want to be? If you guys could all put in the chat, are you on goal? Are you not on goal? Where are you exactly? Put it in the chat. So, own it. And I would encourage you not to be hard on yourself in this. The result is fair. I did X. This is where I'm at. So what we're seeing is, as you're coming in, is that we're not close, not even really close. We're not quite there yet. Definitely off of my goal. So you had an intention. You created the intention. So did I get here? No, I didn't. Why or why not? So why don't we dig into this today of where are we at in these next 122 days, the next 17 weeks? What can we do more, better, or different now to get you where you want to go or to get you closer where you want to go? So out of these 17 weeks, what is it, about 19 days of holidays and time off? If you had one day a week off, you have Thanksgiving, you've got a couple of other holidays, you've got the Christmas thing coming up. Distractions are heading your way. And so how can we take these actual about 90 to 100 working days and get intentional on where you want to get to and set a new goal for now, not to override the old goal. That's not what I'm saying. It's set a new goal about the activities that I'm going to be taking from this point forward to get to where I need to be. And in that process, create a new plan for the next 17 weeks that you actually will commit to. Now, I'm not asking you to rewrite the book. Simplify, because find out what's getting in your way today. Can you remove that obstacle? Is it a skill-based activity? Is it a lack of something of not knowing? Is it a fear of how you look by doing the activity? We avoid doing activities oftentimes because of how we feel like we're going to end up looking like. So I don't look good to my friends because I'm talking to them about real estate. So I don't want to ask them about it because I don't feel like I'm looking good because I feel like I'm asking for something. So is there a way that you could change that dynamic? Maybe I want to give something. Maybe I change how I'm thinking about what I'm doing and say, what am I giving? Givers gain, we all know that process, right? So what am I giving? What am I putting out there? Am I bringing value to my community as I am setting my goals? Because I'm more likely to get business from people I know. Would you guys agree with that? I'm more likely to get business from the people that I know and the people that I'm in touch with. So what's your gap? Let's look at that. I said I wanted X. I'm at Y. Depression gets the better of me. Someone says depression gets the better of me. Um, you might have to, address that a little bit. Find some therapy to talk through it. I don't know exactly. I'm not in that world, so I don't know. But if it's a depression that's an issue, I would encourage you to seek some outside help to find out how that's getting in your way and work on that. Not everything. Work on one thing. Am I able to make 5 calls today or 3? Maybe it's only 2. It's more than you were doing yesterday, is my point. So Debbie says, I'm in the way. I'm fearful. Fearful of what? Fearful of being told no, right? Fearful of being told no. Okay. And that's all right. We're going to get a lot of no's. Imagine this just for a second. Let's turn that conversation around, Debbie. And it's like, imagine if every time I picked up the phone call and I had a conversation with someone, a friend of mine, and we're adding value. Rick and I are adding value in each other's lives through humor. We're adding value to each other's lives through common experiences. We add value to each other's lives through stories that we tell, the careers that we share. So we're adding value. And then I say to Rick, hey, by the way, you know what's happening in real estate today? No, he says. And I said, great. Are you thinking about making any sort of move or change? And he says, no, not at this time. I'm not interested in that. And you go, okay, great. I just want to let you know in case you run across somebody out there, you can share this information. Perhaps they want to talk to me. And we exchange that value right there, right? But if everybody said yes, we wouldn't be talking to anybody. We kind of experienced that over the past 2 years. Everybody was saying yes. Would you get that relationship? Is that everybody said yes, everybody wanted to buy a property, everybody said yes to you, and your phone was ringing off the hook. You didn't have to do anything. That was a brilliant couple of years, kind of unheard of in our industry. So we've gotten spoiled a little bit with this process, and we've gotten somewhat off our skills. And so today we're back to this skill-based activity of like, okay, we need to develop relationships and talk to people. We need time to do that. Communicate over time to build the relationship back. So coming back around to what can I do more, better, or different now in these next 17 weeks that I haven't been doing up to now? How have you grown? celebrate the fact that, hey, I did something to get to where I'm at. Even if I did nothing, I did something to get to where I'm at. Pay attention to that. Did I learn something? Did I do something better? Did I create a system in my business? Did I get intentional about joining community? What did I actually do? Find out what you did that works so that you can build off of that that's working for you. Oftentimes we focus on the things that we're not doing, and frankly, you're not going to do perhaps. And we get stuck there as our excuse, our avoidance to move forward, just like not having a goal. We're giving ourselves the excuse not to move forward. So focus on the thing that you would like to do and you will do. And implement that over the next 17 weeks. Measure the outcome. Now, how many of you are tracking all of your daily activities? Outbound calls, put it in the chat so we can see who you are. Outbound calls, leads that you're getting, conversion. What do you do every day to generate business? So we want to track our outbound calls. And today, guys, let's just get to this point. Texting is great. Email is great. All of those things are supporting factors to a conversation. All the AI, the technology, and all the things that we have in this world, I still haven't seen that create relationships that get you an outcome in your business. We still need to talk to people. We need to meet them. We got to get in front of them. Got to build that relationship with them. Got to build their trust. So what are we doing to get in front of people? We avoid by texting and we avoid by email. So how can we get in front of people? So measure that. If I did 2 a day, 5 a day, whatever it is, that's what we're doing. Can I do a little bit more? How many pending transactions do you have right now? Do you have money coming? Can you see that you're like got a process here? What does that look like? When does that close? And do I have my next thing lined up? If not, what am I going to do today about that? So your pending activities will tell you exactly what's going on in your business. I have money coming. My leads are going to tell me I have potential coming. So what does that look like for me so that I can know what to do to get more leads, to generate more appointments, so that I can get into more transactions? Simplify it so that it's not so overwhelming. Design a time frame. I've got this much time today to do the thing that I'm going to do. It's on my calendar. Schedule the activity. Now, over time, you can track to see what your investment of time is getting you as a result. This is going to help you build your 2024 plan, by the way. Now, before I go on, I want to make sure, is this resonating with any of you, this little simple process? And I know that you've heard it 9,000 times over. If you've been in this business, you've heard this simple process. The question is, why are we not doing it? And if we are doing it, then are we looking at what we're doing to see how we can do more, better, or different? Now, I'm not suggesting that you work more. I'm just saying work with intention. Rick, did you guys ever do that thing that Mike Polk, did you guys ever present that on one of these calls?
No, we've only,
Yep.
he presented it a couple of weeks ago and we already had guest speakers arranged, so.
And I'm sure that you guys will go into it
And
in great detail.
you want to go ahead and share it? I'd be happy to. That's fine. If you can, up to you.
Well, I was going to talk about more the concept and you can do a deep dive later. Let me see if I can find that. Can you guys bear with me for just 1 second while I pull this up? But as we're looking at these processes, these are all skill-based activities that we're looking at. Here we go, right here. And looking at what you're doing now tells you the results. The results tell you what's working or what's not working. I'm getting there. So this is where I struggle with doing two things at one time. I'm not that magic realtor that I can juggle so many things all at one time, especially buttons on a screen.
We still love you.
Yeah, okay, good. I have my weaknesses. I own them. Okay, so can you see this?
Yeah.
Right. So let's talk about where you're at today and where you want to be. And what I want to start with is this concept is that we all have some sort of plan. Oftentimes, our plan is weighty, it's complicated, it's we set this thing up with the vision of what's going to happen over the next 12 months, and it feels too big, perhaps. It is too much, perhaps, to look at all in one big bite. And then this plan is so big, and we really don't have all the skills or the operations or the setup to actually manage a plan of that size or the time that we've invested in the plan. And as a result, we don't really know what actions to take. So we become limited in our process. When you're looking at top producers that have this idea of being really, really good, the key thing that a top producer has is time in the business, that's a developed skill. And so 25% of what they do is their plan. They've got amazing skills. And because their skills are amazing, they've been practicing role play. They've been studying contracts. They've been studying what's happening in the market. They've been learning how to scale their business. They're looking at the right talent to bring on board to help them be better. So they have these amazing skills. And because they're so good at this, they don't have to take massive action necessarily. They take consistent action to get amazing results. This is a Rick Jihad, for instance. He's got amazing skills. And when he's in action, he knows how to apply his skill set to get the result that he's after. To help you, really, is at the end of the day, is what Rick Jihad's about. So anybody who's standing in front of him, whether it's a checkout person at the grocery store or whoever's showing up in his way, he's there to offer value in some way, form, or fashion to help that person. And he's so skillful at it that any action that he takes produces great results. Now, if you're newer to the business and you're really sharp and you're coming with some big plans, you may not have the best plan on the planet, and you may not be skilled in real estate. But one thing that you're willing to do is to take action, and take action. Be told no, be told no, be told no. And every time you get that rejection or you get that no, you learn something from it and you take it as I'm responsible for the things that I do. I don't have the skills, but the best way to get the skills is to do the work. It's often said in Workman that the industry is the best teacher. So doing it is the best teacher. So young rookies coming in, they have time and they just jump into it. Let me see. Everybody says I need to make a lot of calls. Let me make a lot of calls. And they get results. Now, what happens with most of us is that we don't really have a strong plan. We don't have a plan at all, or it's weak. It's not really designed to get us anywhere. We think it is, it's just not. Our skills are okay. We don't invest consistently in ourselves to get better. And the biggest thing is that we take hardly any action. And this creates a void of uncertainty, is how I look at that. It creates discomfort. It takes away confidence because we haven't invested in ourselves. We don't have a plan and we're not taking the right action. So this industry must not be for me. And so this disconnect begins to happen here. And this is where either we just keep doing the same things that we're doing because every once in a while we'll stumble across the deal and we call that successful. Or we start thinking about maybe I need to go get a job because I'm not getting the outcomes of my expectations that what I thought it was going to be. And so here, top producer, they have expectations. Of course they do. They've learned how to take action to get the result. This agent has expectations. I want to be awesome. And so I'm just going to take action until you keep running at the wall. I'll figure it out along the way. Now, this guy over here sometimes can start talking to this guy. And the next thing that you know is that this hungry agent starts going, well, maybe it's not possible. George has been in the business for 50 years and he doesn't have any results. And so they start to question, and then they start taking action because everybody says that's not going to work. This person over here is always going to be somewhat stuck until they decide to invest in themselves, skill up, make a simpler plan, and then take the action that makes it go. So this is what we're talking about today. Where are you on this wheel? You may be a top producer who just got stuck this year because the market shifted on you. You weren't quite ready to handle it yet. You were hoping it would be different forever. And so your skills you put away, you parked them over here on the side, and we're still in avoidance of like, you know what? I really got to pull out all these things, revisit my financial elements, what I can bring to the table in that regard, learn how to talk to people, learn how to have dialogues about what waiting costs. You know, maybe I need to let people know that it's not about interest rates, and I need to stop having that conversation and scaring the consumer. You know, the sky is falling concepts. If I'm bringing that to the table, that's exactly what's coming to the consumer, and it causes them hesitation. Their hesitation ends up costing them something.
Yeah, it's energy. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just getting out of that mindset and coming back in and looking at this simple plan that you're going to create for the next 17 weeks. And get very purposeful on it. Now, here's the second part of that. Who are you accountable to in this plan? Who knows that you have a plan? Or that you have a revised plan? So take somebody in your life that means something to you. You don't want to let them down. It could be your kids. It could be your spouse. It could be your pastor. Who's important to you that you can say, here's my plan. I'm sharing it with you because I want you to ask me about it from time to time, like twice a week, so that I stay on track because I want to be accountable to you and do the things that I say I'm going to do. So an accountability partner to help you finish out this year strong. The investment is to develop your skills, to take the actions that get you results so that you can increase your income. Your output of what you're doing will determine the outcome of your income. So just in the chat, since we've had just a few minutes here, I'm going to read some of these things. Selena taught a class on getting into the production ASAP. It's a lot of info in 2 days, mostly 30 days. Is this the
Activate.
The Activate? Is there something coming up with Activate again?
Yes. So I just, for anybody who wasn't in it, I taught a class last month, Activate. It was 2 days. It's intense.
Company agnostic.
Yes, company agnostic. You do not have to be EXP. It's open to everybody. We will be teaching it again at the end of this month. So we will be starting marketing for that next week. Guys, it's 2 days. It's like learning from a fire hose with an additional fire hose with an additional fire hose. So it's 2 days. The goal is not necessarily what you're learning in the 2 days. The goal really for you is the 30 days of accountability. The commitment that you're making is for 30 days, you'll submit your daily success habits to me, and it's available for everyone to see. It's given on a leaderboard for everyone to see. And then you have to commit to the 30 days of daily success habits and 30 days of attending huddles 3 times a week. Everyone is looking and wanting the same things, doing the activities. With the activities come results. Okay, that's really what it's about. It's almost impossible to do the activities for 30 days and not have something in contract. It's almost impossible. So I will be teaching it the last week of September, again, on Monday and Tuesday, the last week of September. And then we will have 30 days of accountability after that. So if you need accountability, if you need support, a group of people who are all wanting the same thing to get into production and need, yep, Debbie's raising her hand. If that's what you need, is a bunch of like-minded people. There were 100 people in the class last month, everybody wanting the same thing. If that's what you need, and you need somebody who's going to support you in that, that's what it'll be. So we'll be doing that again
at the end of this month. Okay, so if you've been in your world doing your thing and not getting the results that you want, ask yourself the question, is that working for you? What I'm doing, is it working for me? I'm here at my house, I have a plan, I think I'm working it, but I'm not getting the results I thought. So is that working or not working for you? If it's not working, Activate could be a great intentional commitment for 60 days. Is that what it ends up being, Selena, 60 days? 30 days for the program?
It's 30, yeah, it's 30 days. So it's 2 days of the class and 30 days of commitment.
Okay, so 30 days to kind of like, let's pump this up and let's get to where I want to go by the end of the year. And be uncomfortable, it's okay. Be in that class, be uncomfortable, own the fact that I do or don't do, right? And then say, what can I do to get there? So I would take that on. These programs really, really, really do work when you jump in and engage them and take them on and just muster up the I'm going to do it. And sign a contract with yourself. I will, I will, I will. If we go in and say, let me just try it on, no. Go in, I will do the activities that are being presented to me so that I can get different results in my business and get to a different place. So a contract of I will with yourself. So coming back to plans, develop your skills. That's what Activate is. You're kind of pushed into the arena to develop the skills for today's market. It's skills that you will use in other ways. It's skills that you may have developed in other ways that you're going to reuse now. So what holds you back from jumping into that process? I mean, quite frankly, you should be on here right now saying, can you send me the link to get signed up for this so that I'm going to make the commitment while I'm here and I'm committed to it now. So if we're not taking that action, why not? Most of you said you're not where you want to be. Cool. That's the result. Now, what am I going to do about that? Now, I'm not vested in Selena other than I love her to death, and I think that she's an amazingly talented human being, and she's a great leader to implement a system like this to help you get better. But I would jump on it in a heartbeat, and let's get it going today, so that you know exactly what you're going to do over the next thing. Now, we're not here to necessarily sell. I'm not here to sell Activate. I just see the opportunity, and it makes me excited for all of you that you could take the next steps and create something more better and different in the balance of your year. Now, April was saying just a moment ago, what was her chat, is that she just fell out of love with real estate, right? And where was that at? And she fell out of love. She's not doing the things because she fell out of love with real estate. And she's currently working on transitioning business to focus on the part that I now love about real estate, right? So April, you're going into like, I want to shift into the things that I really do well. And what are we going to do with the things that you don't do well? Do they need to be done, or were they not being done? What's the plan around that? Is somebody else going to do it?
Yes, delegate them.
Delegate them out. So cool. What's kept you from delegating so far, just out of curiosity?
Sorry about that. Actually, I would say that it's not that I haven't delegated out. I've had 2 assistants, and that process is fun as well. So for me, it's just finding the right person or process for what needs to be delegated. And just understanding that it is part of the process, failing and finding the right person. So for me right now, it's now that I've gone through 2 of them and understood like what their skill set needed to be and what I truly was wanting. Because I honestly could say with the first one, it was just like I thought I knew what I wanted, but that really didn't convert very well. And so then it didn't, the what I was paying versus what I was getting really wasn't worth it in my for what I was looking for, I guess you can say. So I think for me it was just the process, and then just understanding that that's the process. I have to love the process regardless if I'm getting out of it what I needed. And so that's the part. So I was focusing still on representing buyers and sellers, and instead of also doing the back side of the transition part. So now I did realize that it was hard for me to do all of it at once. So I just focused. Now I'm focusing on one thing. So I did close out all of the other escrows that I've had. So I gave myself a very small window to do the things that I need to do so that I can transition. But at the same time, you know, representing buyers and sellers is still my bread and butter. So I can't completely stop doing that until I have the systems and everything put in place for the transition to the part that I love. So I'm currently in the process of doing that, and so for me, it was just really the process. But I did it. I was my issue when it came to falling out of love with real estate.
Okay. So you were doing the activities that weren't elevating your spirit, so to speak, in the industry. And I think we can all have that.
Yep.
And what
Yep.
I would applaud about this though, April, is that it's not that you're not working towards that. You're taking action, you're learning along the way, you're finding out what's working and not working. Perfectly valid. And you know, as you're looking at your process here, is in between over the next 17 weeks, what do you want to have in place that can power you into 2024 in the best place possible? And that means this person, this position. And
Correct.
so you've learned a lot about it. You know who you're looking for now more than anything else. So what actions am I going to take in this window of time I've given myself and get them trained by the end of the year that we're powered into 2024? Is that kind of what I am interpreting from you?
Yeah, and actually, I've realized it's gonna be both, because two different things. So what we consider the busy work that doesn't really require any thought is going to go to my kids. So they're going to be do the data entry, that kind of stuff. And of course, you know, there's some benefit in that as well for them and me. And then the stuff that does require someone to actually know, you know, whether it's marketing, etc., that kind of stuff, then that's going to be the person that I'm currently going to be looking for that can help me in that arena. Because I don't enjoy marketing in the sense of, you know, the ads and the intricacies of all of that. I don't enjoy that part, and that's the part that I get frustrated. So when I do try to do it and then it doesn't work out, then I'm like, ah. So it almost like sets me back, and then I focus on something else and I leave that alone entirely. And that's not, so for me, I just need to suck it up and just realize that that's part of it. And I don't have to enjoy it. I just have to get it done.
For now.
For
And
now,
I wonder,
yes.
I wonder how many other people identify with what she's saying, because when I listen to this, I relate it to how it relates to how I'm treating myself and what I'm doing, et cetera. Does anyone else feel that same way? They're listening to April and going, "Oh, that's me," you know, so.
On some level,
I have been in that situation before, and I sent a couple private messages to April. I mean, the last 6 months I've had an amazing virtual assistant, and it was night and day. And I just hired a second one full-time as well. So I really think that there's a lot of opportunity out there to delegate. I just have to find the right people to delegate to.
Yeah, and that's been the challenge. So I'm still on that journey. So I will continue on that journey.
well, it's the right people on one level. That's true, 100%, the right person. And the second one is to fully empower them to be successful. You know, which may not look exactly like you would like for it to look. However, it's something that works. So empowering others to really be in the position and to own the position and to have it and make it their own is a skill to let go. And it's a skill of imperfection for a little bit while somebody grows into their ability to deliver, right? Now, I want to come back because I do love the fact that you have your kids in the business, because if they don't do work, you don't have to cook dinner, right? So they got to earn their keep. And so that's the win-win there. So If y'all want to eat, you need to get some. You need to come in here and get these the CRM moved up. So it's good. That's a good one. So on that, so everybody sort of relates to your story, April. We all fall in and out of love, and maybe that's part of the story. Now, in up here in our minds and in our hearts, what are we going to do about that? And it's like, you know what? I really love the big picture. I love the outcome of the finances that comes to me as a result of real estate. Money alone is not enough to drive most people. It's what does that money do for you, though? Right? What is that part? And that's what we're focusing on. We all have to do things that aren't comfortable at times, or they don't feel good for us, or we're not the best at that. That's just what we're doing right now. With the plan, we can now know what is the income I need to generate to be able to have somebody help me with this piece of my business, and I'm able to afford that outcome now, so that I have the time to spend with my family or to make more business or whatever the outcome of all that looks like for you or any of us. So why am I doing the things that I'm doing? What is it that I would like for it to produce? And what do I do with the outcome of that? And if we just ask simpler questions, we all know what it takes to make $1 million in real estate. That's not a hard number to figure out. And then we focus on that and we start building that thing with the lack of clarity of why, or the lack of the time that it takes to get there, the expectations along the way. So we have a big number. I've got to close, well, I guess in the California market to do $1 million is, $40 million in sales. That could be 3 transactions. So is that what we're doing? Or is it we're building something that's consistently going along? We're doing, $700,000-$800,000 transactions. Am I actually doing the activities to drive that? Am I making the 20? What's the number? If you're doing cold calls and you're just plain doing cold calls, the pickup rate is 28%. So if you do 100 cold calls, you're going to get a pickup rate of 28%. Now the conversations are a little bit harder to figure out, but you know that that's going to be the answer rate roughly. So let's call it 25%. If you were able to have 25 moments in a day to insert a part of a conversation, you might end up talking to 1 or 2 a day. That is a huge and generous outcome to that effort. Set the expectations right. If I talk to 5 people that I know, and they can introduce me to someone that they know about, and that happens once a day, or maybe twice a week, that becomes 100 leads in a year. So if we get our expectations in alignment with what we're after, it helps us do the activities that's holding us back. Because as soon as we make the call and we don't get the affirmation that, yes, this is going to do business with me, we're already feeling defeated. If I know that I need 25 of those calls on the average to get 5 people to talk to me, to take 2 into contract, now I know I'm very purposeful in my activities. That's going to produce a predictable income. And if you can make $10,000 2 times a week, well, let me rephrase that. If I were to give you $20,000 and say, call 300 people this week, would you do it? If I were to give you $20,000 and ask you to call 1,000 people this week and ask specific questions, would you do it? You would do it because it's a guaranteed income. All of your eyes are like, yeah, you're taking, are you offering me 20 grand to call 1,000 people? Yes, I'll take that job today. That is you. Why am I not making those calls for myself to do the $20,000? And it's because money in and of itself isn't the driving factor. So I will do it because it's enhancing my family. I'm doing it because it's sending my kid to college. I'm doing it because I've got to help my parents. I'm doing it because I want my 50th wedding anniversary dream vacation to happen. Those are big, big whys. And so we'll do it when we have something bigger at stake than money. So I'm rambling a little bit in the process, but what I'm pulling back to is the activities that we do today is going to get you to where you want to be by the end of the year. Realign your expectations, get very, very clear, promise yourself what you will do, and hold to your promise. If you need support, buddy up with somebody. If you like groups, activate. I just love that alone, just activate. So, but there's a program there for you to get going and to build your community of support. So that's what I wanted to talk about today more than anything else, is the results. Results, oftentimes, they're harsh for us. And the reason primarily that they are so harsh is because we know that we set out to do something and we didn't take the activities to get it done. And the result causes us to judge ourselves. And that's what I want you to not do. Look at the result and say, this is a fair outcome from what I'm doing, evidently, or else it'd be different. It is what it is. Now, what can I do differently in between now and the end of the year to get closer to my goal and create momentum going into 2024? How many leads am I getting? How many leads do I need to create that outcome? What is my contact ratio to make that happen? If I start my day making 2 very purposeful calls to 2 people that I know, I'll start with that. I'm going to ask them about referrals. It's a conversation. That's going to take me probably somewhere around 10 minutes per conversation, 20 minutes right there. If I'm touching my sphere of influence once every 90 days, how many do I need to call today? Now, these are great calls too, because they already know you. These calls, you can actually leave a message. Hey, Carla, it's Paul. I was just checking in to see how you're doing. It's been a couple of months since we spoke. If, give me a call back, right? If not, I'll reach out to you again soon. If you have leads that you're following up on or appointments for the day, confirm the appointments. That's going to be at least 1 call, maybe 2, just to confirm the appointment. Really quick, touch base, connect. You're still talking to people that you know. If you have leads in your systems that you're using the Workman's ABC lead management system, we just dealt with the A's. I have an appointment. B, they're going to do something, purchase with me or list with me in the next 60-ish days, 90-ish days. If they're in that window, I'm going to talk to them twice a month, the week of the 1st and the week of the 18th. So this week, I'm going to be talking to all my B leads. I may have 30 of those if I talk to 6 a day, just to see how they're doing, checking in to make sure that nothing's changed, bring some value to them about the marketplace. Then I'll talk to them again in 2 weeks. If it's the week of the 8th, that's my C lead, someone who is 90 days or more out. I'm just checking in on a monthly basis. Hey, how you doing? Following up to make sure nothing's changed. Here's some value add. We're having an event, whatever you want to talk about. But you touch base in the real estate world. So that happens in the week of the 8th. So we know what we're doing next week. You may have 60 of those, 70 of those leads in your pipeline. So you may talk to 10 of those a day. We're still talking to people we know. We haven't picked up a cold call yet at all. We haven't done the thing that frightens most of us to death. And we're still in this world, and we've made roughly, 15 calls? 15 to 17 calls to start your day. If we have any transactional issues, we follow that up. We get that dealt with. Then we're going to write our 5 handwritten note cards every day, get those out purposely. If you have open house leads or something you need to touch, do that next. And this is going to take you about 2 to 2.5 hours. Follow this simple system on a daily basis. If you still don't have business, now we go into circle prospecting, we go into door knocking, we go into the cold touches. Because we need more people in our business, obviously, because we don't have business. So we need to find more people. That means talking to people we don't know now. And that's just fun. Ask Rick. It's just fun. Talk to people. You talk to them about all kinds of things.
Yeah, it is just a conversation. And it's for those of us who believe that, and there are a lot of us who believe that I'm being salesy, or they can tell. I had a conversation with a guy the other day that hasn't gotten his real estate license yet. And he moved to this country 12 years ago. And I said, how have you been at keeping up with the people that you care about and love all over the world? You moved here from another country. You lived in other countries before that. We're talking about a 30-year-old kid. He's not like, or a kid to me at least. It's not like he was super old. And he goes, I'm pretty good at it. I'm working on being better at keeping in contact. I said, I want you to remember you told me this, because something magical happens when you get a real estate license. Suddenly you think it's salesy to keep track of your friends and relatives. Suddenly you think it's uncomfortable when before, when you weren't a real estate agent, it was just called being human, to call and check on people. And you would be freaking surprised how many times people need or are looking for that. And you have no way of knowing. But man, when you reach out or you send a text randomly, they go, oh, you don't know how much I needed that. Yeah, you don't need to be a real estate agent, be a human being.
Yeah. Connections. And today, more than ever, we need connections in this world. Everybody's so desperate out there and, floating around that reaching out makes a huge difference. Handwritten notes, the phone call. People say phone calls don't work. They do. It works every day to people that we know. So do the reach out and kind of, rebuild your tribe, rebuild your community, make those connections, and keep it super simple. And that's what Activate is, by the way. Activate is a pretty straightforward, super simple, get focused on the things that matter, the activities that matter. If you're sitting around trying to figure out your social media post, you might want to pick up the phone. Right? If your social media post or your marketing piece is frustrating you, okay, you just might want to pick up the phone. Have a conversation with somebody. It makes all the difference in the world. So that's a simple process to reboot. Every day, do this. What you're doing is not getting you where you want to be, so do something different. As opposed to being committed to something that's not working. You don't have to be right about it. So move out of your way and do something a little bit different. Now, everything that I'm saying, it's really not hard. And I also know that it's not easy. And so have an honest conversation with you about yourself. This isn't hard stuff, so why am I not doing it? And that obstacle of yourself is the thing to work around. And go at it, jump into it. You'll be surprised at what happens. I go through this process over and over and over and over and over. I think we can all own that we do. I'm not perfect at this. As a matter of fact, I stumble around like most people do. And then it's like, you know what? I know what to do the thing that I know I need to do. And when I take that action, everything falls into place simply because it's not hard. So commit to yourself, commit to finishing strong. Do something with your next 100 days that you're actually working. You are going to take some time off. Don't fool yourself about that either. You're going to take some time off. If you only work 2 or 3 hours a day, push it to 4. If you're only putting 1 or 2 days a week into your business, push it to 4 or 5. Create some consistency in the efforts that you put out there. Track it so that you know the results at the end of the 100 days. And you're going to have something to look at and go, hey, I did this, I committed to it, I followed through, here's the result, it's better than what I was doing. Let me build off of that. I hope this was helpful to you today. We've got about 5 minutes left in the call. I don't know if Selena and Rick have anything that they need to say, but I hope it
No,
was helpful to you.
it was incredible and so systematic. And I hope that everybody got notes. And there's people on here of all productivity levels. As I look around, I know the people on here. I know, like, my friend Crystal has like 4 or 5 different pillars of income, like leasing and Airbnb management, things like that, and also has 3 deals in escrow at the same time and looking at it. So the levels of productivity and the things going on and the different ways of taking what Paul said and using it for yourself is going to be so varied on the call. But this is a wonderful opportunity for you to say to Paul, hey, Paul, clarify this for me really quickly, or this, so that you can actually apply it to your business.
Please ask and come off mic. I'm going to share a stat with you just real quick so that we have some perspective about market change. With Workman, we've been looking at the numbers. We have a system called Daily Success Habits Tracker. Some of you may know about that. And it's tracking your daily activities and measuring those, right? So we collect those at Workman, and we've been analyzing that. And when we look back 2 years ago, the amount, and we measure it in points, 61 points a day, it took about 132 points to generate a contract. And what we found out today is that it's taking about 222 points so far year to date to generate a contract. So it takes more effort today. This is where your skill comes in. That's true. We have to do a little bit more today to get the same results we were doing. If you're doing the same things that you were doing a couple of years ago, the results are not going to be what you had then either. So that's just how the trend of the market. And I'm not saying those numbers are 100% solid, but what it does tell us is a trend is that we're about 60 to 75% more effort to get the same results. That's reality. So let's just be real about that and say, okay, how can I apply that to what I'm doing? Understanding the numbers really helps you understand the activities that you need to take.
Yeah. Selena, since you're a master coach, do you have anything to add to what Paul said before we close for the day?
I think it's also really important to remember that a couple of years ago was not normal. Okay, so that was not normal. So what we're looking at now is more of a realistic number. Okay, so we're getting back to what it took before this time frame that we were in. So just remember that if you're comparing this to that, or if you came into this business in the last couple of years and you're comparing it to that, it's not realistic, guys, and you're giving yourself an unrealistic expectation. Okay, so for those, I've been in this for 27 years, Rick's been in it for 43 years. Like, it's really hard because we're trying to get you to understand that that comparison is, you're beating yourself up, right? And we're trying to tell you that that was not the norm. We're trying to get people to see that this number of calls and this number of contacts was the norm. Okay, so we're trying to get you back to that normalcy. It's just like talking to buyers right now about the interest rate, and they're like, oh, I want to get 3%. I was like, that is not normal. Okay, that is not normal. Okay, so don't beat yourself up over
on that buyer conversation too, Selena, is that stop having conversations about interest rates with your clients.
Yeah.
They just qualified to buy a house just now. And so what? It's 7.5, it's 8, it could be 10.
Yeah.
They're excited they can buy a house. We don't need to say, oh wow, that's a really high interest rate. we do damage to ourselves.
Yeah.
Okay, great. This is what you have. You're qualified. Let's go shopping. Yeah. And so let's get out of our own way in many ways.
Yeah. So just learn what your number is, right? So I'm a super competitive person, even with myself. So I like just knowing what my number is, right? Like, how many calls does it take for me to get to a contact, or how many calls does it take for me to get to an appointment? I used to do it with recruiting. And then I would be like, well, next month I'm going to beat my number. Okay, if it was 27 calls to get to an appointment, like next month I want it to be 25 calls on average to get to an appointment, right? So it's your number. Just make it your number. It doesn't have to be that there's a number that's out there that makes you feel bad about what you're doing. Just make it your number, whatever it is. So don't do a comparison over the last couple of years. Just make it your number. And the key is to just make the calls. You'll never know your number if you don't call.
So trust yourself. All of you just trust yourself. Yeah.
Yep. Well,
Alrighty,
guys,
are we done?
yeah, Paul, thank you so much. Paul and Beth delayed their drive up here so that they could finish this call before they did. So you hurry and finish packing, get your butt up here. We'll see all of you in a couple of weeks, and I promise you another great call. I'm just so happy about the quality of the guest speakers we've been having. So thank you, Selena. Thank you, Paul. And we'll see you guys all in a couple of weeks. Have an amazing Labor Day weekend. Please relax, enjoy, be around people you love and people who love you back. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.